Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. And today we're going to be talking about the webcam event that just happened over this past weekend, hosted by Play TCG, kind of as a double feature for all the deck lists getting out today. So if you haven't already, please make sure to go check out the other video that talked about the Grand Open that happened in Chile this past weekend. And of course, both of these will be hosted on Eggman Events website, so please make sure to go check that out as well. I will have a link to it in the pinned comment below because it'll have the rest of the top 16 lists. As always, this is just meant to be the highest placing archetypes and just kind of an overview of what people played. So with that out of the way, I do want to stress up front kind of a really important note in just how big of a deal this is. So as we know, the big draw right now to Battle Spirits Saga, for those who either don't know the IP, maybe didn't follow the, didn't watch any of the anime, what have you, right? You know it as a game that has big cash prizing, and of course, that's going to draw in a lot of players. That said, we already have way more players than we did for Force of Will at the start, so for how competitive the market is right now, that's really insane. But there is a point to be made about accessibility to players. That's why me personally, I quit Flesh and Blood, and I was looking for a new game that put its players first, and I got into Digimon. And Bandai was really all about making sure that it was, you know, an approachable game for new players, very easy to get into competitively as well, and also had a wide variety of competitive options that you could dig into. Now, of course, that does vary by region. Obviously, I am very lucky and biased to be in the North America region where we have it very good in the States. And I know other regions aren't as good, but generally speaking, they do try their best to have a mix of both dedicated on-site regionals and then these webcam events, because it is important to Bandai's, you know, philosophy to have an option for players who might not be close to their local game store. And for me personally, that was a huge deal. And going into Battle Spirits Saga as the big money cash event, we didn't know if this was going to happen or not. So I am truly grateful that we do have these for Battle Spirits Saga. Obviously, there is work to be done. I'm going to, you know, voice my concerns about the pricing being changed up, have some, you know, unique pricing like they do for One Piece or Digimon, right? So like there are other things that they do that Bandai's already, you know, taken care of in their other games. I'm assuming we'll get to Saga as well. It's just going to take a couple times to get there. But in the meantime, almost 100 players signed up for this. So for the very first webcam event, that's insane. So I want to give a huge shout out again to Play TCG and everybody who played in the event. Maybe you're just trying to get in that last minute practice for Ohio. Maybe you are one of the people that I've mentioned that don't have a nearby LGS or can't get to Ohio, or there's the, you know, UK and some other regions that are coming up. Maybe you just can't get to those Grand Opens, right? But hopefully this will pick up in other regions. I know that Oceania just had their online events posted. I think LATAM is either going to be announced or was just announced, or maybe it's somewhere, you know, in there as well. So they are working on other regions, which is a really important thing I want to say. So this is a long-winded intro, and I apologize, but I really do want to stress just how important this is. And obviously I had my coffee, you might be able to tell from our last video today, how important this is for the game overall from both a growth and accessibility standpoint. And I truly have to applaud Play TCG and Bandai's efforts for not forgetting about Saga when it is such a cash heavy game for their pricing at Grand Opens that said, hey, we still want to have something for the players to access and have, you know, special promos or other prizing that they can do, right? Be it stamp promos, be it playmats, be it, you know, things like the Seagworm, but we make it sure it's a different one, so it's just online versus the other one, kind of like how Digimon does it. If I'm not mistaken, they have an online exclusive one, right? There's a lot of improvements that can be made and fine-tuning some things, but this gives me so much hope going forward that this can continue. And as far as I know, these might either be monthly or bi-monthly, but they're going to like really have these ramping up. And it makes sense. It's easy to do, and it's great for the players. So all that out of the way, let's actually get into the deck lists themselves. And surprise, Red didn't win this one. Yay! So we have a little bit of a shakeup. Now, yes, I do want to give a shout out to maybe better known as Bean in the community Discord for their purple control list. And I know there was a lot of back and forth about, you know, where do we define these mid-range versus control style of lists? And you'll notice like the key difference from, you know, what early on control decks were looking like versus this one in particular, it really is the Dream Bomb being a total of 3 copies in the list. But as I mentioned in the previous video, and kind of as we've talked about, probably in a few other meta videos at this point as well, but with things like Madhu coming back, Derm Dyna being such a prominent figure in the meta, you need to have an answer that's not going to, it doesn't always win you the game on the spot, right? It doesn't kill it or remove it permanently, percents, but there is a point where being able to Dream Bomb a Maduke on a key turn can open up a avenue to win the game. Or in my Fable Beast list, I keep championing putting Dream Bomb in it. There are some turns where you have the Pentons on board and you're just like, all right, they're not expecting this. And you have like double Dream Bomb into swinging for lethal because you keep them off their Build-A-War triggers or something, right? Like, there is a lot of use cases for Dream Bomb in this current meta. And so much so, right, that we're seeing Turbo Rex get added into more and more and more white decks because that bounce effect is so strong right now. So I think, personally, it is a very, very, very smart and very good meta call that I would expect more purple lists to play Dream Bomb in the main board. It is just that good right now. Looking at some of the other considerations here, right? Of course, the Angelic Pressure for things like Fula, more core drain removal. I love the Force Suppression as well. Just trying to get that bigger value, trying to get that blocker value, your Ice Shields, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what have you, right? There's just trying to get that, or I should say 5, 6, 7, 8. I can count, right? It's just more ways to kind of stall the game if you can have a sticky enough threat, which then also, if like there's another application for the Maduke lists, right? Suppression says target spirit. So you can actually get them to kill your Maduke if that's an option for you in purple as well. So Suppression in general is just a really good card right now. There's a lot of different ways to tech it in different lists. Of course, purple, same issue that yellow has. Your BP spirits, the average of BP per your spirits on average is lower, right, compared to red and white. So suppression is a little bit more difficult to use in the purple and yellow list, but oftentimes, because it's 3K and that's such an insane number to hit, you can get just over them by 1,000 as they don't have a battle trick, then guess what? You get that suppression value and you're able to hold them off. So that is definitely something I love to see here. And then of course, Core Theft just being valuable. Removal in general, it can help catch things like the Derm Dino or the Elk or other problematic spirits where you just want to strip out their cores and remove them from the game, right? So Core Theft, I know it's a card that we keep seeing either 0 copies or like 3 copies for how it goes. And I think that really just comes down to personal preference. Obviously, having depths online can really help fuel that strategy. And of course, then with like Black Lance, right? So if we go into more of a mid-range strategy with things like Black Lance, Maduke, and a lower curve, Core Theft surprisingly got quite a bit better. Black Lance being able to be a 4 of and just being that hyper draw engine that you need. When you have Cavalier, you have the other cards that allow you to just draw from replacing themselves, right? Like there's a lot of ways for, or I should say on attack now when playing them, right? So Cavalier, Assassin, Algavale on death, right? There's a lot of ways to cycle through your deck. So purple is really great at being consistent in what it wants to be doing because half your deck just like draws or replaces itself, right? When you meet the conditions, be it again, attacking, dying, when summoned, what have you. So purple just really gets to, lean into that consistency where a deck like yellow has to be really reliant on Paradise unless you're playing like the 2-cost version and you're just windmilling it out with Prince Penton and Cat Sith, right? Which isn't, as consistent as we might like, but might be good with the EX01. So again, huge shout out to Bean for being able to take down the webcam event, obviously getting yourself that wonderful soul core and all the other prize that's in there. But for me personally, like that's the one thing that I'm going to be forever jealous of until I can somehow get one, hopefully at Gen Con, cross my fingers. I really am a fan of that metal soul core because it's just a really nice collector's piece. Moving on from there, we have the runner-up, so maybe surprise, not surprise. We have Rex being as the second deck. So as I just mentioned in the Chili video, there is a really strong focus for purple good stuff and red Rex as your key 2 decks that you want to be playing. But I have a personal question for you, Devin, because what yellow player hurt you? Like, this is insane. The 3 of Sortosaurus, the 2 of Feral/Main. Ooh, man, I saw this and a part of me just died on the inside as a yellow player. Like, yeah, I'm not, bro. If you game 1 this against us, like, all right, cool. I guess we lose. Scoop up the round. I'll go eat lunch or something. Like, man, this is just such strong yellow hate main deck that, like, I think Rex is personally, like, I've been trying to obviously do this matchup and fix it up for Ohio and whatnot. And like, yes, there's gonna be like misplays from both sides that contribute to it, but like, when both players are going at it, man, and you have like, you assume the average draws from each side of the table, like, I'm sorry, Gigano Rex already has the percentage points in his favor, and then you're adding this on top of it, like, man, who hurt you for real? Like, Sortosaurus just gave you basically infinite attacks for when it wants to be set up. Gigano Rex obviously being able to chip away their board. And then the 6 Nexus removal, which is like the way to beat yellow, right? We talk about this all the time with like how Nova, again, assuming even draws from both players, that the Nova decks are just going to be able to Andromeda, Burning Force, Feral Slash you nonstop, that you're playing draw go, and that's not where you can afford to be in yellow, especially going into Nova that says, hey, cool, I got a Volcanic Canyon, maybe kill the first one. That's fine. I got some other draw cards. I'll get into it. And then they play a Nova and 4 for 1 you, and you're like, all right, bro, good game, I guess. Like, that's it. I'm dead. So huge shout out to Devin for that insane anti-yellow tech. Obviously, this is one that we see, like, the suppressions coming out. And I'm totally drawing a blank on what the other 3 flex spots here are off the top of my head. There was obviously 1 cut Star Blessed. They added 1 Volcanic Break. And they cut 1 Rain Needle. There we go. That's the 3 changes main deck. But generally speaking, it's what we've seen time and time and time again with the Rex decks, with that, you know, small kind of I hate you yellow package built into it. But Rex doing Rex things, right? It's a very, very, very solid deck. And again, one that I think is at the point where it's like 47 out of 50 cards, kind of do whatever you want for the last 3, right? That's kind of just how refined it's been and just continues to do well. Now, the list that is what this video is all about. And again, I apologize. I think it's Kowloon is how you'd pronounce that. I got to give nothing but the greatest of shout outs to this. Man, I saw this when I was, you know, going through preparing the video, talking about the list, saying some lists to some people, just like get some thoughts and what have you. And whoo, top 4 with Nova. And there is like, you know, we have the traditional, let's get some Rain Needle, let's get some Eagle, let's get some early blockers. We have Arc, which is going to help, again, some more like purely go wide decks if you run to yellow. There's a Parasaur for draw. There's a Baculus in here as well, so you can go Baki into Nova, which again is going to set them all to level 1. You're not healing, but at that point, you're putting them all to level 1. You're going to board wipe them. And then on top of that, the Mars. Now, this is a list that I like a lot going into set 2 because we get a Seaworm that actually does something. Maybe not much, but something. It's better than the vanilla that we have, right? And it's just one that's going to get better as we get to see the rest of the red Nexus and Magic cards, that this could come back in a big way. And again, with the 4 Andromeda, 4 Burning Force, you don't get to have a Nexus against this deck, and that is a very, very scary place for yellow decks to be. Now, again, there are going to be some cases where if you're Luster, you can set up some combos where you can hopefully like Gleam of Hope out of it. If you're purple, you say, cool, you hit my depths. Again, 20, 25 of my guys just replace themselves. So I'm constantly drawing through my deck anyways. And of course, in like the red versus red, you still have Star Blessed draw. So again, going against this deck, there is a number of when summons to be played. So things like Star Blessed draw, just getting that U4 can be good enough as well once you kind of lose your board to it. Because again, Nova does want to be healing. So if they heal back up, you are going to get the +4 off the Star Blessed draw. Then of course, looking at the sideboard, some interesting choices here as well. The Arc and Peggy just kind of rounding out some anti-aggro stuff. We have another Dark Bishop, another charged draw, and then of course just some good spells rounded out with Counter Sword and Dream Bomb. Again, Counter Sword is like way back to Vegas tech, right? Just trying to top deck the Nova just to try to set them back, and then Dream Bomb just being another way. Like, one thing to keep in mind, and this goes for all Ascend cards, is that they normally are playing a very limited amount of 6 drops that they can ascend off of, or 6 or higher, I should say, right? And in this case, or with like the Turbo Rex deck, sometimes just being able to bounce it back to reset them and then make them play another 6 drop and then make them play Nova on top of that again can give you enough wiggle room to hopefully come back. But, you know, Dream Bomb does act as sort of a removal spell in that regard, because they do have to sacrifice something else to play it again. But of course, Nova is very strong at what Nova wants to be doing, so it will just board wipe you, especially if it's coming off the back of the Dark Bishop. So again, very, very crazy, crazy list. I love seeing this. I love seeing how far it went in the webcam event. I obviously have all my Saga rares because I'm trying to collect a 4 of everything. At least so far, I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep doing Saga rares, but I'm trying to collect the 4 of everything printed, just from like a collector's standpoint. So if I can, get the 4 Novas sleeved up, and I'll try this deck out myself and see how it does against the meta. But I always just love a good, Nova deck. Like, who doesn't, right? It's like that big anime moment where you get to do big bang energy and these big flashy plays. Like, it's just fun to play, right? I love this. And then of course the Andromedas. The Store Champ ones are beautiful, and I would love a reason to get 4 of those just to round it out, because I think Andromeda is still going to be very, very, very good going into set 2. So again, congrats on the top 4 Nova. So now we're getting to like the next unique list being the Fable Beast, or again, like this is where I think we just need more time, and I don't think we're going to get it between now and where the end of the meta is going to go. But we're starting to see this like transition from the 2-drop list where you still have God Beast, and now I really like the Pegasaurus tech because just 4K multi-attackers is really good, it turns out, to now where we have the more Alice control and the heavier top end of yellow trying to play a more grindy game. But again, you have your Hippos, you have your Dual Eagles, Blessed Up is being very, very good, and then Paradise and Cathedral really just being the enablers that you need to have to get the value out of this deck. This version does have Freezetol, which is really interesting because it does give you those 2-drops still that are able to draw when they die in battle. But again, it is very susceptible to Burning Force. So that is a consideration you have to make, that yes, it can just be a fine chump block against curse decks where you just want to be able to cycle through it, or against white decks where you just need to churn through your deck and draw better. Like, you don't care if Freezetol dies at that point. You just want to attack for 1k. They either take a damage because they have to and they don't want you to draw the card, or if you have like multiple Freezetols out, you're like threatening, okay, take a damage or I'm drawing 2 cards because you swung with like a 1k turtle, right? And everything in white kills it. So Freezetol does give you some options on how you might want to navigate that matchup a little bit more, but I am very much a big fan of like the go bigger Fable Beast deck, which is, again, I keep calling it Fable Beast because all versions of this rely heavily on Paradise to like work it all. So I do think there's going to be some point where we start to see a separation, and this hopefully, again, we don't have yellow spoilers at the time of recording yet, so I'm hoping that we do get to see more of that, not tomorrow, but Wednesday, I think, is the first day of yellow. I really want to see more of this deck go in the 2 very different directions that it wants to be going in. So like fingers crossed, that's my big hope for spoilers, that we get a little bit of a division there. And then going into the sideboard, Extra Cathedral, Pressure, Star Blessed. Like this is all very stock sideboard options that we have. The one that's interesting is the Star Blessed Draw, which again, if this is something that we're going to be expecting a lot of Nova, yeah, like just throw in Star Blessed Draw, because generally speaking, if you're very lucky enough to stick a Paradise, it's going to go to the mid or very late game for when they get Nova, and then you're just able to draw 4 off of it, right? Enterprise is another option. You have Elephant, which is going to draw you 3 Ram 3. So there's a couple different things that you can do to splash into your sideboard depending on which way that you want to, target the meta. But again, huge shout out to Angel for their top 16 performance here with the yellow. Obviously, I'm a huge fan to see more of the yellow decks pop up, and the webcam event really seemed to kind of gravitate around these 3 key archetypes that we did see. Moving on from there is, again, now this is an interesting one that goes back to what I talked about in the Grand Open video, but Axe Spider just in general as this more control centerpiece that's like, okay, yes, protecting Fortress can be good. Yes, protecting Mothership can be good, but sometimes it's just a good blocker, right? And that's enough for what it wants to be doing. But I like this one in particular because it does give us the Nomengard City, so the Machine Beast, right? Nexus that you can protect as well. And as we know, that's coming in set 2, there is going to be more Machine Beasts that want to slot into this type of deck. So I think, I forget who gets, maybe it was Mark, that goes all the way back to, I think Vegas is when it was first like publicly known as like Pink Elephant, where it's like Volcanic Canyon white. Obviously it was discovered a little bit before that, but this is a nice evolution that we continue to see because of what Axe Spider allows in these type of decks to get that Nexus protection and then make it to where, okay, now I can play my elephants a lot easier. Now I can play my Mothership, get my cores back so I can leave up things like Suppression and Burning Force and Volcanic Break, right? So this is, it's kind of weird because, I shouldn't say weird, it's interesting, right? If you see like the 3 different progressions of where people have been with Axe Spider, we have like the very stock, white, this is just a good Spirit Mothership style of deck that I posted about forever ago. You have this version, which is like leaning more towards red, middle of the ground, but has more spell heavy focus to it. And then of course, going back to the list from yesterday, or not yesterday, earlier today from the Grand Open, which is more of just like, nope, I want Axe Spider and I want spells. So I love how much Axe Spider has been able to open up these deck lists and give more options for white, because I think we have been quite stuck in either the white aggro or white control, and those are your very 2 like siloed style of decks, where now Axe Spider is enabling some additional lines of play. So love to see this. And then of course we do have a couple, another Axe Spider, some Valkyrie Mist for balance, the Derm Dyna going up to 3 copies. Woo! just to try to break that board, get in the chip damage. But then otherwise, you know, you have Elk, Enterprise, and Elephant, which makes up traditionally your white control strategy. So this one is a little bit more spell focused in what it wants to be doing. Proactively, I should specify that specifically, where white wants to be more reactive with their suppressions, oftentimes Dream Bomb, and other spells they might add in, like Holy Elixir or what have you, right? So, or the regain down there as well, which can be nice for either blocking or attacking. So another consideration to be there, made there as well. But overall, a big fan of this list, and just white in general, I think is going to be in such an interesting spot going into set 2. I don't think EX01 is going to do too much for white. Like, I think the only deck that gets much out of EX01 is yellow. But then knowing what we know as of the time of the recording, I have to keep adding that disclaimer. Based on the spoilers that we've already seen, I think those zero costs are going to be pretty spicy, as well as the additional like deck cycling that you can get with these spells. So really, really excited to see where this is going to go from an overall like archetypal evolution that we have from EX01 to BSS02 or False Gods. And that, my friends, is the webcam recap. Of course, there was just a few white decks. There was also, was it like a luster deck or another yellow deck that was in there? So that you know, Saga card back was just like the other categories that fell into it. So again, I will have the full list in the pinned comments below, linked back to Eggman's website, where you can see more of the top 16 from this event. But again, whoo! Nova, we had some Axe Spider spice in there. Like, there was some good stuff in here in the webcam event. I'm so happy. It got almost 100 players, and we hopefully will see this to only, you know, kind of grow in the future. Again, I'll be out of this town this weekend, so I won't be able to get to join this one, but I do hope to join future events as long as it doesn't kind of, you know, conflict with what I have going on locally. So with that, other videos this week to look forward to. We are going to get an interview with the champion from the Grand Open this past weekend. I kind of want to do like a set theory design video, which will be sometime this week before I go. And then, of course, next week we'll just be kind of leading into Ohio, talking about, you know, where the meta's at and more high-level stuff. And then hopefully post-Ohio, we'll have enough spoilers, and then we're going to go into some set 2 testing, because I'm very excited to get playing with the new cards. I want to play with like the green starter deck and stuff, and see how green is going to shape up the meta. So with that, next video will probably be out like Thursday or Friday at this point, just how this week is going to go, because I'm gone the next 2 days for training with my, you know, day job. So, you know, please look forward to more updates on the channel coming soon. So with that, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your week. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next Battle Spirits Saga video. Cheers.